Welcome to our first full day in the Cairns. Our first day was a trip to Fitzroy Island to go snorkeling. Okay, we're at Fitzroy Island. We got here a little bit ago, rented our stinger suits, and we're about to jump in the water. It was an 8 o'clock ferry, so we got up early, went to McDonald's, and we're just gonna jump in the water now. So we'll check in later. The reason we had stinger suits on was it was towards the beginning of November, it was actually the end of October, and it was just the beginning of stinger season. We actually found out on our Green Island trip the following day that we don't need stinger suits until we actually spot the jellyfish in the water. They were quite handy though, because we ended up not getting any sunburn even though we were in the water for a couple hours. So even with the sunblock wearing off, it's pretty handy to have a stinger suit on, and they're pretty lightweight. We only had one camera to shoot with this day because our Sony camera strap for the underwater case broke the morning right before we left, and none of the shops were open yet. So all the video was taken on our little Insta360 Ace Pro, and it turned out okay. When we were researching Fitzroy Island, we had heard that, or read that, a lot of the attraction was from the coral and all the different colors. There actually were a decent number of fish there, as you can see from the videos, but the colors of all the interesting moving things and all the different corals and the giant clams, which we didn't see on Green Island, were all really cool to see. When people say Fitzroy Island and Green Island are actually just two different experiences, they're completely correct, and I would recommend going to both. We were in the water for quite some time, just enjoying the coral and all the fish. And then around noonish, the waves started picking up and some of the other big tour boats came in for the afternoon. Once those big boats came in and had the big waves coming ashore, kicked up a lot of the silt from the bottom, and a lot of the colors disappeared and the clarity of the water got really bad and we could barely see where we were going. So I highly recommend going to Fitzroy Island and spending as much time in the morning as possible before the winds pick up. It's a lot like other tropical destinations in that. The beach on this part of Fitzroy Island was actually made out of old broken coral, so it was extremely uncomfortable to walk on bare feet. I'd recommend bringing along some water socks or something else for getting between the water and where you store your gear. I took a quick video of where the showers were because they were actually pretty hard to find. There weren't a lot of signs, and we saw other people lost trying to find them as well. After rinsing off and turning in our stinger suits, we went and grabbed some lunch. We figured we couldn't go wrong with some fish and chips and some carrot cake. Because we were finally starting to warm up, we stopped at the general store and got some ice cream. Melody was pleasantly surprised to see the Milos because she was used to getting those back in Taiwan when she was growing up.
Good afternoon. We are on Fitzroy Island. We did a quick check-in before we went snorkeling. We just had some lunch, got dried off and got changed. And now we're gonna possibly hike the summit if we don't die on the way up because it's so hot.
It's really hot, yeah.
But yeah, it's like 2 o'clock, so we've got 3 hours till our ferry. So we might as well do something with it. And there's tons of things in the bushes making noises. Oh, and the snorkeling was great. We had a good hour out, and then some big ferry came and the winds picked up and it just kicked all the silt around, so everything got covered in silt. It's kind of a bummer, but yeah, so yeah, more stuff rustling in the bushes. Okay, yeah, anyways, I'll check in later.
As we got into the national park, we realized that the things rustling in the bushes weren't chickens like they were in other parts of Australia, but tons of either small or medium-sized lizards. Not far into our walk, we saw this echidna on the side of the road, and we couldn't help but stop and look at him for a while because he's so darn cute. As we got farther up the trail, it got quite a bit steeper. The forest did provide good shade from the sun, so while it was hot, it wasn't terrible, and it was definitely doable.
quick update. We got most of the way to the summit, but it's too hot for me. It's 3 o'clock, it's like high 80s, and we're just gonna call it quits before we get heat stroke or get sick or something. Because it's all sun at the top. There's no shade, tiny bit of wind, and it's just like 88 degrees of vertical climbing. So we're heading back down to. At least we got some good views though.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey guys. It's some kind of porcupine. He's so cute.
How close to you? So close.
What? Oh yeah, big lizard. Oh, there's one right down there.
So slimy.
After finishing our hike and being quite a bit cooler now that we were down in the shade and closer to the water, we went and grabbed our stuff out of our locker. The lockers were just big enough to fit my giant snorkeling fins, so it should be pretty easy for most people to fit 2 sets of gear in. After about a half an hour wait, we jumped on the ferry and headed back to Cairns.
Party cruise. Interesting.
After a nice walk back to our room, we started the long discussion of where to have dinner that night. We ended up choosing the Water Bar and Grill Steakhouse. It was a little bit on the pricey side, but we figured we'd splurge. We got there, it was indeed a fancy place, but the food was spectacular. Melody ended up getting the Portuguese chicken, and I got the espetada, I think it's how you pronounce it, but it's basically a giant hanging skewer with meat on it, which is not what I was expecting when I ordered a skewer with beef on it. After this fantastic late dinner, we headed back to our room to go to bed, as we were up early the next morning to go to Green Island.